It's the first word presented by Dr. Pepper, and it took everything they could in the first half and then some moving into the second half, and a 50-yard game-winning field goal from Brett Maher. But the Dallas Cowboys upset the Cincinnati Bengals at AT&T Stadium for their first win of the 2022 season. It's the second straight year that the Cowboys start 0-1 from a loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then they turn around and they get a game winner as time expires, 20-17, the final score in week 2. Welcome into the first word as we break down what just happened in Arlington. Alongside Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Youmans, and this has been a phenomenal couple of hours. I mean, it looked like the Cowboys, getting off to a hot start initially, had this one in the bag. Not so fast. Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cincinnati defense, stepping up big, controlling the clock, time of possession in the second half. But in the end, Barry Church, Cooper Rush did what they needed to do on the final drive to put Brett Maher in a position to kick the game winner.
I mean, where do we start? I mean, I'm still going hard right now. I mean, the adrenaline is just pumping right now in me, but I'm going to start with the defensive side of the football. I mean, these guys were outstanding, flying around the football. Of course, Parsons is going to do what he does, but he brought some people along with him. Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong out there with 2 sacks. I mean, those guys were flying around. And then we fast forward to the fourth quarter. Diggs made an unbelievable play. I'm talking about third and 5, I believe it was. Yeah. Here comes Diggs flying up to make the stop of the game, forcing the punt. This defense was flying all over the place. Dan Quinn, you deserve hats off for that one. I mean, the way you coached this team, the stunts up front, confusing that Cincinnati offensive line, confusing Joe Burrow out there, it was masterful. Defense, heck of a job out there.
Yeah, I'm with you, BC. I'm still trying to figure out my doggone words because these guys did not win. When you look at the stat sheet, they didn't win the time of possession. They didn't win the turnover margin. But yet, somehow, some way, they found a way to go out here and get the W. Cooper Rush did enough. He did enough. He got a little bit of luck at the end, but luck goes your way when you're doing things right. And as defense, oh my goodness, the defense made things sticky. They made things very uncomfortable for Joe Burrow. They saw some things last week that was on film that he did not like. They said, okay, let's run it back one time and see if we can make you uncomfortable as well. They all showed up tonight. Great victory win.
We opened it up right. I mean, the tale of two halves. I mean, Cowboys that came out, they did what they had to do. Cooper Rush throwing the ball all over the place. You know, Noah Brown, unsung hero. Yeah. 2 weeks in a row he's led this team. And as they kept rolling, man, all of a sudden we come into the second half, and Joe Burrow's finding his sea legs, and things start happening. But better still, Joe Mixon started running the ball great. I mean, just 8 minutes, 9 minutes of the quarter, or the third quarter. Wow.
No, that's a great point. And going to the sack total for Dallas, 6 sacks for 34 yards against Joe Burrow. Second straight week that he's been sacked more than 6 times to start the season. And then Noah Brown, you guys mentioned his stat line, 5 receptions on 5 targets. He was thrown to 5 times, and he had 91 yards receiving and a big-time touchdown in the back of the end zone. But I want to stick on the defense. Really, in the early parts of the game, even when Cincinnati was totaling field goals, one of those field goals was because of a special teams mishap on a punt that kept the drive alive. The other one was on a controversial call with Anthony Barr hitting Joe Burrow on third down. That extended the drive. So 6 points right there, boom. That was controversial on both ends, not necessarily the defense's fault. Then you go back, even the scoring drive that the Cincinnati Bengals were able to put together, 19 plays, 83 yards. Isaiah, that's what it took. It took a bend but don't break all the way through. This defense made things tough on Cincinnati.
We talked about it in the pregame show. You know, this is a strategy that you want to have against this team that has these type of receivers. These guys have 3 big-time receivers and a pretty solid tight end. And, oh, by the way, their quarterback's okay as well. So what's the thing that you don't want to do? You don't want to allow these guys to get behind you. Keep everything in front of you. What you're going to give up, though, when you do that is some still long, sustained drives. Luckily, they weren't able to start having those until the second half. You know, you just mentioned it, Kyle. 19-play drive, 8.5+ minutes. That is very difficult as a defense to ask them to continue to put out that kind of effort and have success against an offense as powerful as that.
Yeah, you loved what the defense did by keeping everything in front of them, like you just said. But what I love the most about this game defensively was the physical tackling out there. And we talked about it in the pregame show last week. There was a lot of leaky yardage, running backs falling forward for an extra couple yards, defenders getting dragged. That wasn't the case this game, all right? In this game, the Dallas Cowboys defense, they came to play and they came to hit. Each and every time one of these Cincinnati Bengals receivers caught the ball or Joe Mixon was running the football, there was multiple hats at the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4 hats at the ball at each time. The Cincinnati Bengals were filling each and every one of those hits. Defense, like I said before, hats goes off. You guys had an outstanding performance.
Like you say, Parsons brought along a little company, got Darren Armstrong involved in it. The big guys in the middle kind of shut down that run in the first half. It leaked a little bit in the second half, but they just played as a team together, and got it down to the end for this kid to make a big kick.
2 sacks for Micah Parsons in the second straight game. Dorrance Armstrong with the first multi-sack game of his career. So the defense got after it. But what can you say about the effort from Cooper Rush? It wasn't pretty in the second half. There's going to be film study. There's going to be improvements and adjustments. But in the end, he took care of the football. 19 of 31 passing, 235 yards and a touchdown. But the most important number, Barry Church, 2-0 as a starter as he gets the win today. 2-0
as a starter. And like you said, he kept the ball out of harm's way. I mean, there was no turnovers on his part of the game. He was very efficient out there. And look, I mean, that's all you can ask from your backup quarterback. A lot of guys out there, Noah Brown, CeeDee Lamb, of course, Zeke Pollard, they stepped up as well. But hats goes off to Cooper Rush. He played a great game out there, efficient, and kept the ball out of harm's way.
Kudos to him for just going with what he's comfortable with. A lot of times you have a backup quarterback and your number 2 guy steps in and all of a sudden he tries to fulfill the same role as the previous starter did. He didn't do that. He said, hey, Noah Brown, we have some chemistry. I'm going to you. That's where I'm going with the rock. Run your routes. I'm going to throw the rock. You go ahead and make some big plays. That's what he rest assured on. Going off of what Barry said, he didn't turn the ball over. That's one thing that we couldn't have, obviously, against a team that had this offensive power that Cincinnati did.
And he threw it around. He threw it to Schultz. He threw it to Houston. He threw it to CeeDee Lamb. I mean, and that's what helped. When Noah making those big plays, that helped CeeDee Lamb to relax and to become the guy he is. And as the game went on, he could make bigger and bigger plays coming down the stretch.
Yeah, they stepped up when they needed to. Like we said, still not perfect on the offensive side of the football, but there were some things to build on up front with the offensive line, the receiving core, and, of course, Cooper Rush filling in for Dak Prescott at the quarterback position, getting the job done. And Cowboys Nation, if you're not done celebrating just yet, continue with us. We've got Cowboys OT and Cowboys game night coming up here in just a couple of minutes, but we leave you here on the First Word presented by Dr. Pepper with some of the final stats. The Cowboys get the win 20-17 over the Cincinnati Bengals, and they do so behind Cooper Rush at quarterback. Now 2-0 as the starter. Cowboys 1-1 on the season. That does it for the First Word presented by Dr. Pepper. We'll see you a little bit for Cowboys OT and Cowboys game night.